So guys, it has finally arrived. Update 4.0 for Star Wars Squadrons has released. Now, there will be a few more balance changes after version 4.0, so don't worry, there will be a few certain changes later on down the road. But we have a lot to get through in this video, so be sure to hit that like button if you like videos like these, and let's get right into it. So since there's a lot to cover here, we'll go through it in stages. We'll look at Starfighters and components that have been added into the game. We'll look at balance changes thereafter, any cosmetics that have been added into version 4.0, and then changes to ranked mode itself. And then after that, we'll just cover all the miscellaneous stuff that isn't really that important. So starting off with the Starfighters and components. The B-Wing has been added to the New Republic fleet. This is a heavy gunship playstyle backline fighter, so it has very low standard maneuverability, so you have to rely a lot on boosting and drifting to get anywhere. It has high durability, the primary damage output is insane, and it has a lot of auxiliary firepower. But of course, this really relies on support and allies to help it get to objectives. One unique component only to the B-Wing is the Iron Beam. This deals 3,000 iron damage per second, totaling to 9,000 iron damage in one go. So just to give you an example on this, you'll probably need to use it about 3 times successfully to completely wipe out the shields on a frigate or a cruiser. The other unique component is Gyro Aux control module. So this allows you to rotate the ship. This can be really good to angle yourself on frigates and capital ships for your bombing runs, and it also increases the ammo count for all auxiliaries that use ammo, otherwise improves auxiliary cooldown rate. Unfortunately, there is a bug where the ammo increase doesn't work in fleet battles right now. There is a hotfix that will come to fix this, so running this component on a B-Wing right now isn't super effective. So I recommend trying out in practice mode where it does work, or trying a different auxiliary until it is fixed. Moving on to the Imperial Navy, the TIE Defender has been added to their faction. Highly adaptable anti-starfighter specialist, front and midline fighter. It has a very high survivability with strong shields, but very susceptible to iron weaponry. It requires a lot of skillful power management and really relies on the use of boosting and drifting for ideal performance. This is because the decay on engines, lasers, and shields are very high. This means you'll run out of boost pretty fast, you'll also run out of lasers pretty fast, and shields decay a little bit more than most other ships. But that can be solved with its unique component, the Advanced Power System. Using this gives an instant significant overcharge to a system with max power. If all of your power management is balanced, it gives a weaker overcharge across all systems. This is really effective for shields mostly. Shields require a little bit of time of no damage before they can regenerate, but with the Advanced Power System, that is not the case. If you're taking a lot of heat in the moment, just put your power to shields and then hit the Advanced Power System. There you'll get an immediate 50% shields back immediately. Doesn't matter when you took damage, it applies as soon as you hit that button. So this could be very effective in negating the fortified shields debuff, which I'm currently running on the TIE Defender right now. Besides that, A-Wings have got another big nerf in version 4.0. Their shield regeneration rate has been decreased by 1/3 yet again. They had this exact same nerf in version 3.0 and it looks like they're going to be hit again. This will force A-Wing players to be out of the match much longer, which means they will not be so dominant in the middle to the enemy side of the map all the time. The rotary cannons all had a slight bit of a buff. You no longer consume laser power during its wind-up. This should give you about like 1/6 more firepower after the wind-up. Ion missiles took a bit of a significant nerf as well. Their travel speed dropped from 400 meters per second to 240 meters per second to fall in line with all the other missiles. This should give players a lot more time to try and navigate away from the ion missile and hopefully evade it. And if a player sees an ion missile heading towards an ally, they have a lot more time to shoot it down. Plasburst cannons got a bit of a nerf as well. People who run this component take 50% more damage whilst they're charging the Plasburst cannon. This should make it a much more weaker laser for jousting. And finally, piercing torpedoes got a little bit of a buff too. Their inner blast radius went from 2 to 14 to allow a lot more consistent damage on a subsystem. So there has been cosmetics added to the game, but they'll be released over time during version 4.0's lifespan. So whilst there's nothing to announce here right now, let's move on to ranked updates. Ranked had a bit of a significant change for version 4.0. They adjusted the skill rating requirements for each tier via server-side changes last week. They also changed how you gain and lose skill rating depending on how you played during that game. So if you're on the top of the leaderboard and you won, you'll earn a lot of skill rating. But if you were the best player on the losing team, then you'll lose a lot less skill rating than all your other allies. I personally think this is a fantastic change because there's been plenty of games where I've really outperformed and my teammates just have been lagging behind. And then I lose so much skill rating because it was a game we should have won. So this change I think is really important for a lot of better players overall. They will naturally be able to climb the ladder a lot easier now. Ongoing server-side matchmaking improvements have been made also. They've tightened the requirements for each game on what rank you need to be playing with other players. So you'll see a lot of people in certain ranks play with one another. So you should see a lot of Hero 2s and 3s play a lot of games together, while Hero 1 might play against Hotshot 3 every now and then. This is to prevent games having a big skill rating difference between different players. So for example, if you had a game where someone was Valiant and another player was Hotshot, it just doesn't make sense. For higher tier players who are in Legend or Galactic Ace, you may struggle to find a few games right now. There is a patch in the works right now, but overall for me, all of my games have been so much better. There's been plenty of games where I've been carried and I've just been underperforming, but there's also been a lot of games where I've been playing super well, but a lot of my teammates are also having a big impact in the game as well. The majority of players are in Maverick, Hotshot and Hero, so the accuracy of games is going to be so much better for these players. As mentioned, higher tier players might have to wait a bit longer to get into a game, and the skill ratings between players might vary a bit more, but that is because there is far and few between super good players. This will correct itself a lot as the season goes on. These type of changes midway through a season do need to ease themselves in a little bit, but once we hit the latter half of Season 2 and we begin the placement matches for Season 3, we should see the queue systems in Squadrons ease up a lot more for better players. You should be able to see the skill rating requirements for each sub-tier in the rank ladder now. So here you'll be able to compare your skill rating that you currently have to what skill rating you need to get for a certain division or tier. And actually the division and tier requirements have changed between Season 1 and Season 2. You've probably already noticed this already. For example, last season it was kind of difficult to get into Hero. Now, many people have been placed into Hero. This is because the skill requirement to get into Hero has been lowered quite significantly. This pretty much means 50% of the players are no longer in Maverick or Hotshot anymore. It's been spread out more evenly so we can get more accurate games. There is too many numerical differences here to list off in a video, so if you're really interested to see how they've changed up the skill rating, I'll leave the patch notes in the pinned comment down below. Next up, we have custom games and server browser. So here you'll be able to create your own private matches in Star Wars Squadrons. This is going to be amazing for esports tournaments and for players who just want to get together and play a few games against one another. And the best news is this is not limited to 5v5 matches. You can make it 4v4, 3v3, 2v2 and even a 1v1 game mode. Or perhaps you don't want to do something like that. Maybe you want to do something really cool like a boss game mode. You can change a lot about the gameplay in the modifier subsection of custom games. So if you want a game mode where you've got 5 New Republic players going against a really beefy TIE Defender, that is something you can do. And you can also join different custom games through the server browser. Personally, I think this needs a tiny bit of a tweak. It's really hard to see what custom games you want to join based on a player's username. I think people should be allowed to name their custom server. This could be really great for people that are seeking out a role-playing server or a boss battle server or even a 1v1 server. So hopefully they'll do something like that in the future, because I've looked at the custom games in the server browser and I really can't differentiate between what is one custom game to another. Overwatch actually allowed you to name your custom servers, which made it super easy to specifically find what type of game mode you wanted. So hopefully they'll add this in a later update down the road. Next up is controls. So we mentioned this in the previous video about head tracking. They have finally added Track IR to the PC. This will be amazing for people that watched our video about playing Star Wars Squadrons with head tracking, because the process of getting it all set up and running will be a lot easier now. If you're interested in checking out some head tracking gameplay of Star Wars Squadrons, I'll leave that video in the pinned comment down below. Some additional controller rumble has been added to Iron Cannon, Assault Shield, Beam Cannon and a lot more. So people playing with a DualShock or an Xbox controller will definitely notice a difference there. I certainly have, and it feels great. There were some changes and fixes to HOTASes for Xbox One, and that pretty much does it for controls. Now let's look at the miscellaneous updates. First up, there's some changes to Fleet Battle game mode, where they've reduced the max waiting time in the briefing room from 120 seconds to 90 seconds. That pretty much explains why I keep running out of time when I'm trying to change out a loadout before a game, but that is entirely on me because I'm just lazing around thinking I have so much time to myself. They fixed some issues with Mission 1 and Mission 3 of the single player story mode, some tweaks to VR in when ships should pop into view, and fixed an issue where a player could load into Esseles instead of Foster Haven when playing against AI. That pretty much covers it. I haven't covered every single change here. I only covered the ones that I think were worthy of a video. So if you really want to see absolutely everything they've added into version 4.0, the release notes will be in the pinned comment down below. And finally, we've got a big video coming out today for you guys. Corey from Corey Losers has successfully made a Star Wars Squadrons game mode in Empire War Thrawn's Revenge. He's been working on this for a very long time, guys. It looks super, super cool. And there is a completely new ship, the MC-75, modeled from the ground up for this game mode. So that video will come out a little bit later today. And when it does go live, it should appear in the top right corner of this video in an info card right about now. But if you're on mobile, it'll be in the pinned comment down below. I really do recommend checking it out, guys. Corey puts so much effort into it and it'll really make him happy if we can get that video tons of views. And of course, guys, if you love these patch note videos, let me know in the comments down below. Give the video a like, it really helps us out. And other than that, guys, I have been Charlie. You've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.